Hello YouTubers, and today I am going to be reviewing this, which is the NECA 2018 Halloween Ultimate Michael Myers figure. Now, this isn't actually mine, this is actually my brother's, and he's with us today. Say hello.
Hello.
And today we're going to be going through this and having a look. But first, let's take a look at the box, which is a really nice packaging. So we've got like the film poster in there, Halloween Ultimate Michael Myers, and includes light up pumpkin. Now, this is a sticker on the front, so if you're careful enough, you'll probably be able to remove it if you don't want a sticker on the front. Same information on the side, except we've got NECA logo and real toys. And on the back, we've just got some publicity photos for posing the figure, which do look really nice. Again, Halloween, load of information. Bunch of information on the bottom, including how to change the batteries on the pumpkin if they run out. Some information on the top, and this is Velcro down shut, so if we open it again, publicity photo of the figure, and the figure itself, showing it in its box really nicely with all of its accessories around it. So, without further ado, let's take the figure out of its box and see what it looks like. Okay, so here is the figure itself, and he looks absolutely fantastic. If we just take a look at the head first, we can see all the detail of the aging to make the mask look old and worn, and to be honest, it does look exactly how it did on the film. I'm glad they've given it this wash, which has really brought out the detail, and, you know, comparing it, just looking at that and then looking at the box itself, you can really see that they paid attention to the detail, and even with the eye sockets in there, and also the little bit of blood splatter around the eye, and also the lips as well. The hair is really well done. You can see that it's been painted a brown colour, but it's gotten a lighter wash over the top. Same with the suit that we've got here, some of the boiler suit here. It's been painted a dark blue colour, moulded in a dark blue plastic. But as you can see, it's been given a dirty wash to make it look like, you know, a workman has actually worn this, and it's pretty tattered a bit. And it just looks like Michael's just stolen it, and it is a little bit baggy on him like it is in the film. You can see all the detail there of all the pockets and all the stitching on the denim, and even underneath you can see Michael's jumper underneath, with even the little strands there of the fabric, and also his neck underneath. You can see old man Michael's neck and jawline just under there as well. The same continues on the back, where we've got the pockets and that, and the legs, all this lovely detailing on there. And at the bottom we've got the boots, which have got, again, just got workman's boots, but they've been what makes it look a bit worn, like worn leather, and also the tread on the bottom as well, and peg holes, so if you want to display this figure in a peg so it stays upright. Taking a look at the first set of hands here, you can see that obviously they're very bloodied, but they do have the individual fingernails on there as well, and as well as the blood. And you can see even old Michael's veins on there on the other side, and even all the patterns on that on his hands and his fingers. This hand here is holding his knife, which we'll get onto in a moment. If I just remove the knife for now. There we go. You can see here, this is one of Michael's gripping hands, where it's basically just moulded to hold his various accessories, which we'll get on to right now. However, just before we continue to that, my brother has just informed me that there is the tiny bit of blood from a gunshot wound there, so well done for detail on that. But anyway, let's take a look at accessories, and here is the classic kitchen knife. You can see it's being moulded to look exactly like, well, pretty much any standard kitchen knife, but it looks exactly how it does in the film. You can even see the silver part, the metal part, going on there, and the bolted on plastic pieces of an actual kitchen knife on there. You can see the little bolted on sections there. It's really nice that they've actually paid attention to this detail, because a lot of people would have missed it, even the little lines there. But overall, really nice accessory, and obviously essential to Michael, since this is his kill object of choice. But anyway, let's go on to some of the others. Okay, so here's the accessory that was highlighted on the box so much, and it is the light up pumpkin. And indeed, if you press the top down, it does light up. Now, in daylight, it doesn't look as good as it does in the dark. In the dark, it does look really nice. But again, it does look like the actual pumpkin from the credits. It looks really nice, and it looks like a pumpkin. You can see all the detail there to make it look like it's more organic. Unfortunately, we do have the battery compartment at the back, which is pretty obvious. I don't really know what you could have done to really hide this, so again, it's a necessary evil, I guess. Maybe if you placed it on the bottom, even at the bottom, you can see there's a little dimple section like an actual pumpkin, and the stalk on the top. Again, a little cutout there, is it? And in this lighting, you can clearly see the LED. You can see it easily in person as well in the light, but the whole point of it is for it to be lit up. But you can see it pretty well. Maybe if there was, I don't know, something over the top, like a film over the top, the LED just disguise it a bit, but it does look nice nonetheless, and it is a nice little accessory in the fact that it does light up and also flickers slightly. So that is a nice little accessory, and also the fact that you can change the batteries on this, which is nice, because I'd much rather have a battery compartment like that, but where you can change the batteries, than have an accessory where you can't change them. Yeah. The largest accessory is this, which is the Judith Myers gravestone, which we see at the beginning of the film, and as you can see, we've got the dates born, 1947 till 1963. And it is a nice accessory, and it does have, again, sort of worn aspect, particularly along the edges of it, to make it look like an old gravestone. I think a problem with the film is the gravestone looks far too fresh. Actually, it should have been a bit more tattered up, but again, this is representing what was exactly in the film, and it is a nice little accessory to include, especially to pose Michael next to it, even though you don't really see him stand against it really at all in the film. But again, a nice accessory, and it does actually look like stone, not just grey plastic, which is good for the way it looks. It's sort of got, also because of the paint, it's got this sort of chalky sort of texture to make it feel even more like stone, which is really appreciated on this. The back doesn't look as good as the front. It hasn't really been given the same sort of wash as the front have, so they've kind of skimmed out on the back, and you could also see the same about the basics on as well, but nevertheless, a nice accessory to be included. Well, here's a nice gruesome accessory, which I didn't think would be included, and it is the head of the policeman at the end of the film, or towards the end, where he is discovered, and Michael has dressed him up to look like a jack-o'-lantern. He doesn't light up, though his head is hollow, so you could easily put a light or an LED in it. In fact, actually, if we turn on this, we can sort of, not really, but if you were to stick an LED, it would light up the head, since the head is hollow, and you can just see all the little gory details inside there. It's really nice that they've actually done that. In fact, you can actually see bits, I'm assuming that's bits of his tongue in there. It's really hard to tell. But again, just looking at the detail of this thing, the care and attention that's been put into it is really nice. And it is a solid head sculpt as well. You can just see the eye sockets there, and the fact that it's also hollowed out just makes it even more accurate, and it is a nice accessory as well. The only thing that I can see wrong with it is that there's a pretty obvious join there on both sides where the plastic is joined together. But other than that, it does look really great because it looks nice and bloodied. And yeah, the only problem is in certain lighting you can see that the paint they've used is fairly shiny, so it does make it look a bit glossier than it really should. But again, a really nice accessory that they didn't have to include with this as well. But the fact that they have shows that they are really keen attention to detail. You can even see where Michael sort of hacked at it a bit, presumably with his knife. Okay, so the next accessory we've got is this. And I've asked my brother about this as well, but I can't remember particularly when Michael uses this. And I don't know. I mean, my brother thought it was a piece of the fence from when Michael kills someone, and I was thinking, could it be a piece from a fire, to torch fire, from the end in Laurie Strogg's house? And I honestly have no idea. It is pretty flimsy, which is a worry that it might snap. But it does look really nice, nonetheless. It does make it look like old, sort of tarnished metal. But it's just a bit weird. I guess it's another weapon for Michael to use, but it is just a bit of a random one and a bit baffling, all the same. But I guess it's something. Yeah, it is something. Now, here's something a bit more familiar. This is the hammer from sort of mid-ish way through the film. Before Michael's able to grab a traditional kitchen knife, he kills someone with this hammer, and yeah, it looks pretty good. I'd say, well, I take that back. I say the handle looks really good. The handle really does look like old wood. Again, it's been painted in one colour and then given a sort of wash over the top to bring out more detail and make it look like old wood. The head of the hammer, or the top of the hammer itself, doesn't look as good. Does look a bit plasticky. Maybe if it wasn't so glossy, it would look a bit better. I don't know. Because I'm assuming it's supposed to be rust, though it more comes off as just, well, glossy plastic, which it is. But it's still nice to have an alternate accessory to put in Michael's hand, so if you want to pose him bashing someone's head in, then you can. So let's talk about the figure's alternate hands, first of all. So we've got this one, which is a more stretching out hand, if I actually just show this a bit better. So this one's more of an open-palmed, flat hand, which I'm not sure what you do other than to pose him sort of reaching out at you. We've got another, which is a semi-grip, but much more bloodied hand, and the blood does look pretty realistic on the hand, where basically one side is completely bloodied, and there's mostly blood on the other side on the knuckles. We've then got another clenched grip hand for his other hand, to hold his left hand, which is a lot more tightly gripped than the other. You can see even the little cut going through there, but otherwise this is probably, out of them, probably his cleanest hand. And obviously they would have to include this from the end of the film, Michael's missing digits hand from when Laurie blows two of his fingers off. And I do really like this hand. You can see that there's the knife wounds there, but also the fact that, well, the fingers are clearly blown off. We just take a look at this. This thing is so small. But you can see there the little scars tissue of where the fingers were, and all the blood just going round. And it does look really nice. It is funny sort of pose Michael with him holding the fingers up, but you can see the fingers have still been really well detailed, and this does look, again, absolutely incredible. This bit of the hand does look a bit too clean for my liking, because all the side is bloody, then surely more of this should have blood on there than it does. But again, it's still nice, and you can even see that they've also kept the detailing of old Michael's more wrinkled skin and veins. To change the hands, it's pretty simple. You just pull them out, and they will eventually just pop out like this on its little peg, and you can simply just swap them for the others. You can see that they are on a teeny tiny little ball joint, so you do want to be careful when putting the hands back in, sort of twist them as they go. And there we go, there we've got two-fingered Michael with his two fingers. But now let's talk about the other head. Okay, so here's Michael's alternate head. So it's pretty much the same as the other one, except it's been given a slightly different dye. If we just take his regular head off, it actually gives us a better look At his neck, you can even see his Adam's apple there. I'm glad this is more of a peg jointing rather than just a ball joint, since they are a bit more difficult to pop in and out, but it gives us a better chance to look at the head. So you can see there pretty much the same. And these heads are pretty similar. The only main difference between the two of them, we're going to focus there, is one, we can clearly see Michael's eyes, his actual eyes, I should say. And focus on there, there we go. We can see his eyes pretty clearly on this one. However, on the other one, not so much. They're more blacked out. So if you want a more blacked out eyes, or if you want his eyes to be visible as they are here, and you can even see sort of a bloodied nature of them, then you've got the choice between the two. Personally, I just prefer the blacked out eyes. I think it looks creepier where you can't actually see what he's looking at, but it is nice that they give you the option. They aren't completely identical. They do have slight differences in their paint apps here and there. This one is a bit more dirtied than this one. This one's a bit cleaner. You can see on this one, as well as a little bit more bloody, you can see his sort of fucked up eye there. The hair on both of them, again, is pretty much the same. This one, again, just seems to be slightly different. I don't know, I just may be clenching like straws. I noticed the hair on this one is flicked more out to the back. The sculpt is actually different with the hair, with it being flicked out slightly bit more, whereas this one is more patted down. But again, other than that, mostly the same. Very slight subtle changes. I'm glad they have the subtle changes. I mean, to be honest, you can't really do an awful lot with this Michael Myers head, because really there's not a lot of damage or anything that happens to the mask in this film. So yeah, unless you were to do an unmasked Michael head, which who knows, maybe they one day will, there's not an awful lot you can do. But just to have a look at the figure with the eye hole head. There we are. That's what he looks like with that head on. I definitely prefer this one, though it is nice that they did include this one for people who like to pose them like that. Speaking of posability, let's talk about articulation, shall we? Okay, so for this being a NECA figure, it does have its fair share of articulation. So the head is on a slight ball joint, so it can move from left to right, though not much, as it's restricted heavily by the collar. It can nod up and down slightly to about that degree, which does give Michael a bit of movement, particularly when you can turn his head to the side like that, which does mimic the film pretty well. His arms are ball joint and can go up to the side to just under 45 degrees, again hindered by the suit. They can do 360 degrees, and again we've got 360 degree twists at a double jointed elbow. So again, allowing for a greater range of movement. The arms can bend to 90 degrees. The wrists can't do a 360, but do have a bit of articulation where they can move up and down a bit, which does give us a little bit of movement, but again, it is restricted by the overalls. His legs can split out to just about 90 degrees, and they can go up and out to the side like this to make him do more of a sitting position, again though hindered by the suit. We've got a 90 degree bend at the knee, which is ball jointing, so it can also twist around as well and come full forth. We've got a little bit of an ankle joint here, which is, you can see right there, is on a ball joint, so it can angle his feet a bit more. It does give him a nice wide variety of articulation. Obviously, the only disadvantage of that is that some of the joints are pretty obvious. The one that is done the best is the head, and that is mainly because of the mask hiding the joint so well. But some of the joints, like the arms here and on the legs here, can really just give the articulation parts away. So if that does bother you, I'm sorry, but that is the case with pretty much every single NECA figure. You can pretty much go one or two ways. You can have limited articulation, but with no obvious joints, or you can have a pretty wide variety of articulation, quite a bit. So yeah, you can have a lot, or you can have less. It's whether you are really bothered by these ball joints here. When he bends his arm, the ball joints are less obvious on this side, but are more obvious on the underside. But they have tried to disguise them as best as they can, but that's just the luck of the draw. You either get the load of articulation and be able to pose them in whatever stakes, or you get practically none at all and it'll just be in one pose all the time. It's whether this bothers you or not. But overall, let's get to my conclusion, shall we? So, overall, what do I think of this figure? Well, it is an absolutely excellent figure. As the first NECA figure I have ever reviewed, and the first NECA figure I have ever held, because again, I don't own this is my brother's, I can see why they are so beloved so much. The lengths that they go for detail and accuracy, but also the posability as well, is really good. And it's nice. It is a nice, big, and heavy figure. And the fact that you get so much posability out of him, and it comes with all of these accessories, really does make it worth the while. Now, it does have a higher asking price than, a regular action figure, but I can say that is justified because of the high levels of detail and the amount of accessories that this figure comes with. So overall, if you're a fan of Halloween or a fan of NECA figures, then I do highly recommend you go for this Michael Myers.